Tell me you have a problem without actually telling me you have a problem. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lily and this is Lily in the Library. Today I have a book haul for you from the month of June. This is spread out throughout the month and a little bit from last month as well. I do have quite a few books to get through. I've got 2 stacks of hardbacks and 1 stack of paperbacks, but other than that, they're not really separated in any particular way. So let's get into it. The first book I have is The Stranger Upstairs. I believe this is like a psychological thriller. I've heard pretty good things about it. I've also heard pretty not good things about it. It just has a gruesome history, a hostile neighborhood, a new owner with a shocking secret. Welcome to Blackwood House. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'm not going to go too much in depth since I have so many books. I don't want this video to be too long. The next book I have is Reckless Girls. Now I have already read this one. I listened to it on Libby and I really enjoyed it. I like the cover as well. It's a bright yellow cover and I just wanted to physically own it. I liked it enough to physically own it. Technically, it's a thriller. I know a lot of people didn't like this book. I talked about this one in my main wrap up if you'd like to know my full thoughts on it. It's a thriller, it's set on an island, so it's like a secluded location. I really liked it. I thought it was good. It was an easy, quick read, and for what it was, I was entertained. So for that reason, I wanted to own it. The next book I have is Immortal Longings, and this one I believe is a Romeo and Juliet retelling. I'll be honest with you, I really liked the cover, so that's the main reason why I bought it. I am terrible at cover buying. I do try to like research a little bit, but a lot of the times I do buy based on cover. This one, a little bit of a synopsis, is every year thousands in the kingdom of Talon will flock to its capital, Twin Cities, San-Air, where the palace hosts a set of games. For those confident enough in their ability to jump between bodies, there is a fight to the death across San-Air for a chance to win unimaginable riches. It looks like we're following a princess, a king's son, and an exiled aristocrat. So it should be an interesting time. I'm thinking this is YA. I just thought the cover was really cool. This is the Owlcrate version. And it says, there are no gods in this world, only kings and tyrants. So, I don't know, it sounded good to me. The next book I have is The Honey Witch. I'm so excited. I am not on the Fairy Loot box yet. I am on the wait list, but I saw this and I really wanted it. So I was able to get this on Pango. This is a Fairy Loot edition. I am so excited. The cover, the hardback is gorgeous. The cover does have an alternate dust jacket. And then what really sold it for me are these end pages. But also the sprayed edge. I just thought this was so cute. And it's supposed to be Bridgerton vibes. I'm not sure what it's about other than that. There's just some blurbs here on the back. A cozy confection of a book full of whimsy, spice, and heart. The Honey Witch is an ode to love and just how sweet it can be. That's cute. It sounds cute. It's a cute book. I know some people don't like it, but I'm just hoping it's for me. And the next one are 2 subscription boxes that I am on the subscription for. And it's the same book this month, of Jade and Dragons. They are both really pretty covers. They're both really pretty books. This one does not have anything other than the blue, whereas this one has some beautiful sprayed edges. It is gorgeous. And then the naked hardback is stunning in my opinion. This is my favorite. I really like this edition. So this is the Illumicrate edition, and then I have the Owlcrate edition as well. So this one also has a reversible dust jacket. And the naked hardback is also really nice. And of course, they both have custom end pages. Like I showed you the ones in the Illumicrate. But they are both very pretty. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the Owlcrate one yet because I don't really think I need both copies. I can't imagine myself loving this book that much that I'm going to need multiple copies of it. It's a fantasy about dragons. I'm not the biggest fantasy person. I'm trying to get into fantasy more. I also do really enjoy dragons, but they're not my favorite thing for stories to be about. That being said, I'm still looking forward to reading this book. 18-year-old Ying dreams of becoming a world-class engineer like her father. But after his unexpected murder, a heartbroken Ying is determined to discover why anyone would threaten a man who ultimately chose a quiet life over fame and fortune. Left with only a journal of her father's engineering secrets and a jade pendant snatched from the assassin, Ying follows the trail to the capital and the prestigious Engineers Guild, a place that harbors her father's hidden past. So I'm super interested actually to read this book. It gives me Mulan vibes because she's impersonating a man. She's impersonating her brother while she's there. So I'm assuming it's like a situation where women don't hold as much value or aren't really listened to. So I'm kind of interested to see how the book is going to handle that problem or if that is the problem. I can't imagine what the reason she would be impersonating her brother. But so I am pretty excited to read that. Like I said, the book is gorgeous. It's about 500 pages, I think. Oh, I'm sorry, it's just over 450. It's not a priority for me right now, but it's gorgeous. And then the last book I have in this stack is Thistlefoot. I don't remember what this book is about. I think it's about something to do with the Baba Yaga, which intrigued me. I remember when this came out, I was really excited to read it. And for whatever reason, I couldn't get it from my library. And then when I finally could get it, I just didn't have the time to read it. I was not too far from delivering. It says the Yaga siblings, Beltine, a young woodworker, and Isaac are a wayfaring street performer and con artist, have been estranged since childhood. Separated both by resentment and by wide miles of American highway. But when called to receive a mysterious inheritance, the siblings are reunited only to discover that their bequest isn't land or money, but something far stranger, a sentient house on chicken legs. That's all. I mean, this just seems very weird and like something I would enjoy. So I'm hoping this is going to be a good book for spooky season. And you'll just have to stay tuned to see what I think about it. I haven't heard too much about this book actually. I can't recall anybody talking about it recently. So, I mean, the book is about 2 years old, but still. So, yeah, if you're curious to know my thoughts on this, just stay tuned. Next up on our hardback stack is Emily Henry's Happy Place. This is going to be my next Emily Henry book. I have reserved the book from Libby so that I can listen to it and read it at the same time. Again, this is another cover by. I love the yellow, but also the hot ass pink. I have been getting into Emily Henry lately, so I thought, why not buy a book that I've heard pretty good things about that some people tell as their favorite and go ahead and annotate it. I recently read Beach Read from her and I would have loved to have annotated that, even though I only gave it 3 stars. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a 4 or 5 star for me and I'm going to have fun annotating it. Next up, I have 2 books that go together, Her Majesty's Royal Coven and The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. I am so excited to read these. I know very little about it. It's about witches. It's about a coven. There's murder. There's a lot of things going on. It's takes place in England. The third book is coming out or is out. I think it came out in April. This year. I'm excited. I did get the Fairy Loot edition for the first book, which I love this. It is stunning. I just love it. I think I am going to get the Fairy Loot edition for the second book. Right now, I just have the UK edition. I honestly, I love this color of the dust jacket more than the purple from the Fairy Loot, but I think I am going to get the Fairy Loot one because Queen Bee is also going to be released by Fairy Loot. If you purchase the Shadow Cabinet, you get Prime Access. So I'm thinking about buying it from Fairy Loot as well. So I might end up with two copies. So hopefully I love that book. Or else I'm gonna have two copies of a book I don't like. Next is So This Is Christmas. I am going to be doing a Christmas in July reading event. So more details about that soon in another video. But I wanted to pick up a few more Christmas books just so that I have some in my arsenal. I want to get through at least, I think, 6 books during that week. I've already created the prompts, I've already created the little cards and stuff. So I'm super excited about it. I will be talking about it in upcoming videos. I'm just going to do it for a week, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I wanted to make sure that I have plenty of books to choose from during that time, and this is probably going to be one of them. Don't know much about this book. It says Christmas, Oklahoma is a terrible place to celebrate Christmas. Luckily, it's the perfect place to fall in love. Sounds good. When Finley decides to go home to Christmas, Oklahoma for the holidays, the last person she expects to see there is Arthur Chakrabarty Watercress, a fellow student at her New England prep school. Arthur is, Finley thinks, an uptight Brit who hardly knows she exists, so why have Arthur and his aunt Isha chosen to spend Christmas at Grandma Joe's Hoyden Inn? If the Greatly Enchanted Town website created by Finley to impress her snobbish classmates is to blame, how can she produce the perfect American Christmas experience their guests expect, especially since she's reeling from some surprising revelations about her parents as well as about her former boyfriend and best friend? I'm excited. I can't wait to read it. Next is a book I am very excited to read. It is Knock Knock Open Wide. I have heard very interesting things about this book. I've heard it was really good. I believe Kayla from Books and Lala put this at a 5-star. So I'm excited to read this. I've heard pretty good things. I've heard some mixed reviews, but I've heard pretty good things about this book. So it's about an event that happened. I believe the beginning of the book opens with a body. Driving home late one night, Etienne Larkin finds a corpse on a pitch black road deep in the Irish countryside. She takes the corpse to a remote farmhouse. So begins a night of unspeakable horror that will take her to the very brink of sanity. That's all I need to know. And then I know there's something about a TV show like that kids used to watch and a goat that never comes out of the box, but some people remember him coming out of the box. I love weird shit like that, so I'm excited about this. Next, I have Belladonna. This is a book that I would love to get the Fairy Loot copy of, but also the UK copy of because it's so much prettier. I don't care for this cover. There's nothing really wrong with it. I just don't care for it. This was given to me by someone on Instagram from Emily on Instagram. So thank you, Emily. I have heard really good things about this book. I know that it is She Can't Die and then Death is in Love with Her, I think, or something like that. It just sounded really intriguing to me. It sounded like something that's right up my alley. It's a love story, but it's kind of weird. Like, I can't remember why she keeps going from home to home. I know, like, she's orphan and stuff, but obviously, I don't know what the rest of the story is. And at some point, she does find a good group of people who really take care of her and treat her well. Um, and then I think that's when she runs into death or something like that. So I don't. The premise sounds really good. I'm really excited to read this. So remember my last haul when I accidentally bought Iron Flame, thinking it was Fourth Wing? Do we remember that? I remember that. So now I have Fourth Wing. I also got this from someone on Instagram. It says Morgan Reads 247. I'm only one chapter in. This is not a high priority for me, and I heard that the third book is coming out next year, so it's even less of a high priority for me. I'm grateful that I have the first two books. I'm excited to read this because if the first chapter is an indicator of what the rest of the book is like, I'm going to enjoy this. Next is You've Reached Sam. This is a book that has been on my TBR for such a long time. One, the cover is beautiful. So obviously I was always going to get it because of the cover. I did get this. Someone from Instagram sent me this, so thank you. It does not say who sent it to me. Unfortunately, the note to tell me who sent it wasn't in it. So thank you if you sent this to me. This book I feel like is going to break my heart. I remember it's something about like he's dead, I think. What does it say? A heartfelt novel about love and loss and what it means to say goodbye. 17-year-old Julie Clark has her future all planned out. Move out of her small town with her boyfriend Sam, attend college in the city, spend a summer in Japan, but then Sam dies and everything changes. Heartbroken, Julie skips his funeral, throws out his belongings, and tries everything to forget him. But a message Sam left behind in her yearbook forces memories to return. Desperate to hear him one more time, Julie calls Sam's cell phone just to listen to his voicemail recording, and Sam picks up the phone. The connection is temporary, but hearing Sam's voice makes Julie fall for him all over again, and with each call, it becomes harder to let him go. What would you do if you had a second chance at goodbye? Like, already making me sad. I love things that have to do with grief. I love seeing how different authors tackle this subject because it is a very difficult subject to talk about, to deal with, and everybody deals in grief in their own way. So it's a pretty short read. I'm hoping to get to this sometime this year, but it's not a high priority for me, even though it's been on my TBR for a really long time. But still, if I can fit it in somewhere, I'm going to read it. And the last hardback I have today is A Talent for Murder. Now, this is my book of the month book. I almost skipped the month. I wasn't sure what. None of the books were really speaking to me, but I did see some people reading this and they said it was pretty good. So I'm excited. I heard this is part of like a trilogy, but you can read it as a standalone. So I'm really hoping that that's the case because I've never read anything by Peter Swanson. This seems like a pretty short, easy read. So I'm pretty excited to read it and see if I want to read more from him. This one is about, I think the main character is a librarian and she's trying to figure out if her husband is a murderer because I know it says newlywed librarian begins to suspect the man she married is a murderer in this spectacularly twisty and deviously clever novel by best-selling author Peter Swanson. Yeah, I know somewhere I read something about how well do you know your husband. So I don't know, it seemed intriguing, and then when I read the synopsis I found out that the main character's name is also Lily, so of course I'm excited. Okay, let's get into the paperback stack. First up, I'm not even going to explain this too much. It is A Walk to Remember, basically just nostalgia vibes. Murder Off the Books. It seems like a cozy little murder mystery, and I'm excited to read it. I'm not sure when I'm going to get time to read it, probably in October sometime. Best-selling author Tess Harrow's career is doing well thanks to the real-life crimes she solves and mines for material. But she's developed a reputation for putting herself and her family in harm's way for the sake of a story. So Tess decides to drum up positive press by combining her new bookstore opening and release party in one. I know there's a murder and she's basically trying to solve it. I think she's a podcaster. So I don't know. It just seemed really intriguing to me anyway, and I'm really grateful to have gotten that. Next is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. I don't recall anyone talking about this book, recently at least. I read the synopsis of it and it seemed weird, but my kind of weird. Also, I was really intrigued because there's an upside down dog on the cover. Like, how could I not? So, I don't even really remember what this book is about right now. I just remember that I really wanted to read it. Next is another nostalgia by Water for Elephants. If you haven't read this book, what are you doing? I actually enjoyed the book a lot more than the movie, but I also really enjoyed the movie. I would love to reread this and annotate it. I know there was a lot of good quotes in here that I liked. There was a lot of like romantic vibes and stuff, things that I would like to remember. And it has been about 10 years, I think, since I've read this book. So I would love to reread this. Next, I have two books in a trilogy, Wolf Hall and Bring Up the Bodies. These are about, first of all, they're so floppy. I'm so excited about it. This one is even more floppy. These are about, at least the first two are about King Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn and his pursuit of her and all the things that happen. Outside of that, I'm not really sure what's contained in these books, but I love anything having to do with Anne Boleyn and to a lesser extent King Henry VIII. I know there is a third book. I can't remember. I think it's something about a window, like the title of something, window light in the window, something like that. And that one is more so about Thomas Cromwell. If I really enjoy these two books, I'll pick up the third one as well. I don't really care for Thomas Cromwell. He's not a historical figure I really give a crap about, but the completionist in me really wants to have the entire trilogy and have read them all. So if these are exceptional, then I will pick up the third book. Then a book I have already read is The Push. I read this a couple years ago now. I liked this copy, this edition, and the pages are like textured. I love when a book has pages like that. So this is another book I would love to read more analytically and annotate it as well. I remember being very disturbed by this book, and I believe I was pregnant at the time I read this. So it was even a little bit more disturbing just because I could really relate to what the main character was going through as far as her pregnancy and stuff. And then I really felt for her when it came to her child, especially when she had a second child. Like, I don't know, I really felt for her. Up next, I've got two Lisa Jewell books that I am very excited about. So this one is The Family Upstairs and Then She Was Gone. I did read The Family Remains and I loved that book. I've also read by her None of This Is True. So I'm excited to read two more books from her. I want to read everything she's ever written at this point because I love her writing style and I really, really enjoy her twists and turns, the way I don't even expect things to connect together and she just pulls it together that way. So I'm really, really excited to read these. I want to get reading Then She Was Gone really soon. I've already got it tabbed out for every 50 pages, so I'm prepared to read this one. I'm not sure when I will get to The Family Upstairs, but hopefully very, very soon. Next is a book that I'm really excited about, which is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I've again wanted to read this book since it came out. I don't really remember what this book was about. I think something about a writer. And I just remember that everybody was like so shocked by the ending and like, you need to read this book. Oh my god, it's so twisted. The little blurb on the back says Loan Ashley is a struggling writer on the brink of financial ruin when she accepts the job offer of a lifetime. Jeremy Crawford, husband of best-selling author Verity Crawford, has hired Lowen to complete the remaining books in a successful series his injured wife is unable to finish. Lowen arrives at the Crawford home ready to sort through years of Verity's notes and outlines, hoping to find enough material to get her started. What Lowen doesn't expect to uncover in the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography Verity never intended for anyone to read. Page after page of bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's recollection of the night her family was forever altered. So it just sounds like a good thriller. I've heard mixed reviews about it, but for the most part, I've heard really good reviews and people just like recommending this very highly. I've never read anything by Colleen Hoover, so hopefully this is a good place to start. Next, I have Once Upon a Broken Heart, which I am also pretty excited to read. I've heard really good things about this series, and I'm just hoping that I will really like it. I don't have too much of an idea what this is about, but I know she's the same author as Caraval, which is another book that I have on my list that people are really hyped about reading. So this is another book I received from some lovely person on Instagram named Kaylee. So thank you, Kaylee. It just says on the back here, Evangeline Fox has always believed in true love and happy endings until she learns that the love of her life will marry another. Desperate to stop the wedding, Evangeline strikes a deal with the charismatic, immortal Prince of Hearts, but she soon discovers that bargaining with the Prince of Hearts is a dangerous game. He has plans for Evangeline, plans that will either end in the greatest happily ever after or the most exquisite tragedy. Sounds like a fun time to me. I'm excited to read this. And then we have The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I have never read any Riley Sager books. I don't think this is going to be the first one I'm going to read, though. Ironically, I do want to annotate this book. I'm sorry, it just looks fun. I could just imagine how the annotations will look. I will probably annotate this, and then I'll see if I want to annotate any of the other ones. But I've heard mixed reviews about Riley Sager. I've heard his books are great. I've heard his books are trash. I've heard some of them are good, some of them are bad. That he recycles the plot a lot. So we'll see. I've heard some of the same mixed reviews from some of my favorites in the thriller, mystery, horror category, and I still really enjoy their books. At this point, I feel like it's kind of hard to create an original jump scare, an original twist, anything like that. So if the book is well written, I'm happy to partake and be entertained. This one, it says, be careful what you watch for. Casey Fletcher, a recently widowed actress trying to escape a streak of bad press, has retreated to the peace and quiet of her family's lake house in Vermont. Armed with a pair of binoculars and several bottles of bourbon, she passes the time watching Tom and Catherine Royce, the glamorous couple living in the house across the lake. They make for good viewing. A tech innovator, Tom is powerful, and a former model, Catherine is gorgeous. One day, on the lake, Casey saves Catherine from drowning, and the two strike up a budding friendship. But the more they get to know each other, the longer Casey watches. It becomes clear that Catherine and Tom's marriage isn't as perfect as it appears. Catherine suddenly vanishes. Casey immediately suspects Tom of foul play, and what she doesn't realize is that there's more to the story than meets the eye, and that shocking secrets can lurk beneath the most placid of surfaces. Okay, so it's like a Room with a View retelling, basically. I like it. If it's done well, I will probably enjoy this book. Okay, last two books. The Summer of Broken Rules. Again, I received this on Instagram, and I'm not sure who sent it to me. Sorry, there was no note. So I know very little about this book, but I know everybody has been enjoying it. Everybody that I've seen reading it anyway has been enjoying it. It just says it's all fun and games until someone loses their heart. When Meredith Fox lost her sister, Claire, 18 months ago, she shut everyone out, but this summer she's determined to join the world again. Okay, another like book that's dealing with grief and stuff, and like I said, I really enjoy reading books like that to see how they tackle that subject. It's a little bit deeper than that. I'm sure we've all dealt with grief and we've all lost someone that's important to us. So for me, I just enjoy any gleam of seeing how other people deal with things as well, because we do all deal with grief in our own way. I'm excited to read this for the summer. I want to read this maybe in August sometime since it is a summer book. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. And the last book is a oldie but a goodie, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I recently finished Stuart Turton's newest book, The Last Murder at the End of the World. I have been calling it different names. I'm sorry. But I really did enjoy this book. This is the first book I read by him. I would love to annotate this book. There are so many things that happen, and I dare say that if I were to read this book again, I would probably catch a lot of things that I missed the first time reading this. This the way he writes is so complex in my opinion, and the twists that he has, the different clues that he leaves for us. I just really enjoyed this book. I also want to get a physical copy of The Last Murder at the End of the World and reread that and annotate it as well because I thought it was equally as good. So, if you don't know what this book is about, if you have not read this book, it is basically about Evelyn Hardcastle dying and this man named Aiden trying to solve who killed her. And I can't remember. I know there's a specific time frame that he has to do it in, and there's like a lot of. It's very convoluted, but once you read it, once you're in it, you'll understand what's going on. On the back, it just says Evelyn Hardcastle will die every day until Aiden Bishop can identify her killer and break the cycle. But every time the day begins, Aiden wakes up in the body of a different guest, and some of his hosts are more helpful than others. It's so good. I know at one point he tries to stop her from being killed, and it's really good. Like there are so many different people in this book. The way that each of them has their own personality and own things going on, it's just I don't know. The way he wrote this is just amazing. I love this book. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today in this massive June haul. I hope you enjoyed being a book addict with me today. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing if you want to see more content from me. I don't just do book hauls, I also do reading vlogs and other things about reading. I'm just dipping my toes into the book community. So please join me for this ride. That's all I have for you guys today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.